Hello and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name's Harriet. Today I'm going to be doing my spoiler-free review for Lavinia by Ursula Le Guin. Now I'd wanted to read this for a little while because I had actually not seen it before, so I knew the most obvious and most popular books that Le Guin's written, but I hadn't actually heard anything about this one. So I picked it up and I only just managed to get to it this month, but I am really glad that I did. So I'm going to talk about my experience with it, and please, if you have read this one, let me know down below and we can have a little chat about it. But let's get started. Oh, the sun has decided to come out. The sun is never out. So if you didn't know what this book is about, we are basically following a girl called Lavinia, and there is a poem that is written about her, but she doesn't really get much of a voice in that poem, so Le Guin has written a book about her instead, and about her journey and her story. Now Lavinia is the young princess of a place called Latium, and she meets a poet who is basically like a fortune teller, and he tells her that she's to marry a stranger that will come from the seas and found a great kingdom with him. However, she's already been betrothed to someone else by her mother, and it's kind of the struggle between her and her parents because her father would like Lavinia to be happy, whereas her mother is just about her marrying this other king. So I can't say much more without completely ruining it, but we are following her as she goes along on her journey and what happens to her and what happens to her parents, and also the kingdom she's living in as well. So one thing I found really interesting with this is we obviously do get to see quite early on in the book this kind of prophecy and Lavinia's future as well. So we know what's going to happen, yet I still had no idea what was going to happen. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's been written in such a way that these things are happening, but they're still really gripping. So you're being told about what's going on. There's this big battle, for example, and you know already who is going to die because Lavinia has been told by this poet. But you are still so scared for them all, and it just felt really gripping. And I think that really is a mark of a good book, and that shows that it's been written really well as well. But from about, I want to say a third of the way through, it does get to a point where you actually don't know what's going to happen because this poet kind of finished his poem. He finished Lavinia's story, so she's got more to go that we don't know about. So that was really interesting. I thought it was quite a unique way of writing historical fiction as well. I've not really read much historical fiction at all. This seems to be written quite uniquely, and it's something that I've never experienced before. There's also a lot in here that actually reminded me of Wizard of Earthsea, which is the first book in the Earthsea cycle by Le Guin. And I think that's because it does touch an awful lot on the kind of power of nature and how everything is connected and how we should respect nature and the true power of things. And it also talks about strength of mind as well, which again is touched on a lot in Wizard of Earthsea. And I think that helps to really create this character that you really root for, because they have a very powerful and willful mind, but they are a woman living in this particular era where women aren't exactly respected and they're not seen as someone to really listen to. They're just there to kind of cook and clean and look after the houses and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that she was written really well, and I thought it was truly a wonderful book. However, I don't know what it was about this, but it just wasn't my favourite book ever. Definitely not my favourite Le Guin. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. I did really, really like it. But so far, it has been the one that I've enjoyed the least out of all the books I've read by her. I think it was just a little bit too quiet for me, which is strange because there's stuff that happens in here. But yeah, it was just a little bit quieter than some of her other books, and I feel like it wasn't as hard-hitting, didn't make me think as much. A lot of her books, there are kind of little meanings behind the story, so it's not just taken at face value. You do have to think about the message that Le Guin is trying to put across, and usually that's something to do with either society or feminism. And there are things in here that do touch on kind of feminist topics, but it wasn't as strong as what I wanted. However, I did, again, really enjoy it. I thought it was really good, and I would definitely recommend it to people that are new to historical fiction because it wasn't hard to follow at all. It was just really interesting, and it gave me really nice, cozy vibes. Saying that it gave me cozy vibes though, there are actually some content warnings in here. So there are a couple scenes where there is sexual assault. There's also talk of suicide and suicidal thoughts as well. So just keep that in mind. It's also quite a violent book at times. So if that's something that you don't think you're in the right place for at the moment, then don't pick this up yet. Put it on the back burner for a little bit and then come back to it when you feel like you're ready. But yeah, overall, a really lovely book. I enjoyed it a lot, and I actually gave it a 4-star rating. So it is still amazing. It's just not one of my favourite books ever. So yeah, that is my review for Lavinia by Ursula Le Guin. Again, let me know if you've read this. I'd really like to have a chat about this in the comments. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!